Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. I wanted to give you a quick update on the 72cc clone saw. So you guys all watched my muffler video. Thank you. I did have a set of dogs. I forgot that I had these. I purchased them with a full wrap handle for the 362 XP. I decided to throw them on here for now, and it worked out perfect. They're going to protect this muffler just the way I wanted it to, so I'm real happy about that. But I wanted to talk about fuel mixture ratio, what I'm running and why. All right, so I got you guys back here. Trying to huddle around this wood stove. If I do that, I might be able to keep it warm. Wanted to talk about fuel mixture ratios. My comment section's been blowing up from you guys. Everybody's got their experiences, their opinions, and oh, I should be running this mix, or you should be running that mix. I think everybody kind of goes with what they're comfortable with at the end of the day, and there's probably a ton of theories on it. I don't know. I've never really looked into it too much, other than what goes around in my own head. So I run 40-to-1 mix in everything. All my new saws, old saws, whatever, two strokes, they get 40-to-1 mix. And my theory, or theories that I have on that, are why I run that mix. I'm sure right now I'm probably triggering a lot of people to freak out about mixture ratios, but I can only speak to my experience and my theory of why I do what I do. So I run a 40-to-1 mixture in everything. Some saws require a 50-to-1 mixture. Some of the older saws, 32-to-1, 16-to-1. I think everybody's pretty familiar with the fact that the older saws, when they had those heavier mixtures like that, it was because they were running like straight 30 weight as two-stroke mixing oil, even though it wasn't designed for it. That's all they had. So modern oils come out. Now our mixtures changed. They went, 16-to-1, 32-to-1, 40-to-1. Now we're up to 50-to-1 for certain manufacturers. And my opinions on that, or theory on that, is one, I think a lot of it is could be EPA and emissions driven. The less oil you run, the less emissions you're creating, because basically smoke is unburned oil particles and all that, right? But the way my mind works, and I could be dead wrong, and I'm not saying I'm right, but this is the way my mind works. If I had let's say I have a saw that requires a 50-to-1 mixture, so that's 50 parts of fuel, 1 part oil. If that saw is tuned for that mixture, and I happen to dump a 40-to-1 mixture in it, okay, now I have 10 parts less gas to 1 part oil, right? So 40-to-1 into a saw that's tuned for 50-to-1. So when we do that, this is just me and how my mind works. When we do that, we're now creating a lean fuel condition. So we have less parts of fuel. So with less parts of fuel, that in my mind would require me to have to meter in more fuel to get the same reaction, okay? If I have a 50-to-1 mix, I'm not going to produce a lot, or I'm not going to produce any more, or I should say, how do I want to say that? I'll produce less emissions with a 50-to-1 mix than a 40-to-1 mix because there's less oil in it. This is how my mind is working. Now, if I create a fuel lean condition by putting a 40-to-1 mix in a saw that's tuned for a 50-to-1, I'm going to run hotter because I don't have as much fuel. It's leaning out. I create a hotter condition, okay? So I need to open that carb up and meter in more fuel in my high jet so I don't burn a saw up. Now, by doing that, I'm also introducing more oil. When I introduce more oil, I'm creating more emission, right? Which I know the EPA doesn't like that. That's one reason why they want us to run such a thin mixture of oil. So now I've opened up my carb, I meter in more fuel, I'm getting the cooling benefits from the fuel back, and this is just how my mind works. If I have more oil in there, I'm probably helping the ring with compression. I have a little bit better seal up on the ring on the bottom end, right? Because remember, that charge has got to go through the bottom end and come back up. So now I've got more oil than I had in a 40-to-1 mix, which is probably going to help out the lower end a little bit more. We got to separate it, I think. Let's just talk about the lower end, right? If I intake a 50-to-1 mix, I have less oil than a 40-to-1 mix. That's all in your lower end, right? Less oil, probably not as good as lubrication for the bearings as 40-to-1. Remember, 2 strokes, there's no oil other than what we put in it. So my theory is a little bit more oil in the fuel helps lubricate the bearings, maybe helps things last a little bit longer. Now, as that charge is getting compressed down there, a little bit more oil will hopefully create a little bit more compression. You'll get a little bit, maybe better seal on that ring. You'd have, not that we get a lot of blow by in a saw, we shouldn't, but, we're creating compression. So hopefully we get a little bit better seal around that ring. Then we shoot that charge up top through our transfers. And if we are adding more fuel for a 40-to-1 to bring that cooling back, now we still have that more oil in there. So we have the combustion. It doesn't burn as efficiently as the 50-to-1 mix. Again, all in my head, my theory, right? If we dilute that mixture with more oil, it's gonna burn differently. We're gonna end up with more unburned oil particles, particulate, or whatever. So we're going to smoke a little bit more. We're going to probably create a little bit more carbon. We're going to create a little bit more emissions. And I think when you're talking that close between 40 and 50-to-1 mixture ratios, I think it gets down more to emissions. A lot of these manufacturers are so held to such tight tolerances as far as emissions on all these small engines. They can only produce so much. They can only be so loud. They can, and we go and change them, right? So we pour them, we put mufflers on them, we pipe them, and every time we do stuff like this, we're adding more fuel. We're trying to squeeze every bit of power that we can out of it. So more than likely, by running a heavier oil mix, no, we're not getting that peak performance because we're diluting that mixture, right? This is my mind going, right? So anybody ever straight gassed a saw or seen one that was straight gassed? I've seen it happen. They run like a banshee until they don't, because there's no lube, right? So it's really the lack of lube isn't probably so bad as what happens with the heat, right? That combustion now is so strong and not diluted at all in any way. We create a lot of heat in that top end, and we end up melting the piston to the ring and all that. Long term down the road, you're you know, if you ran, in my theory, my mind, if you ran too lean of a mix, maybe maybe you do more damage in the lower end because there wasn't enough oil to lube everything, right? But I think heat is the real problem. So we run our mix, whatever we choose, whatever the theories or reasons we have behind it. Mine is a little bit more oil, offers me a little bit more protection, and that may sacrifice me a little bit in performance on the top end. But if we're porting and we're piping and we're timing these saws, you know, I think we need all the lubrication we can get. We're only going to get so many revs out of a saw. That's just how it is. I think that if we stay with a little bit heavier mixture of oil, we may get a little bit more longevity out of it. There again, I could be completely wrong. My opinion is that a lot of it is emissions driven, and I think that no matter what you choose, as long as you're running a quality oil and you're tuning your saw properly, they're all going to last a long time, right? But these are just the theories that go through my head and the reasons why I do what I do. And the only reason I wanted to talk about it is because my comment section is blowing up and everybody's like, obviously it's a huge topic for people. Everybody has their opinion on it, what their dealers told them. You know, I do what I do because I believe that I'm gonna prevent or keep my saw as long as I can by doing what I do. I feel that a little bit more oil is just a little bit more protection, and as long as my saw is tuned properly, I have a little added benefit over a saw that's too oil lean. Okay, and yes, I think that when we do take that charge, whatever it is, if it's not the right amount and we create that fuel lean condition, we're going to increase the heat, and the heat is the enemy. We're going to create a situation where we end up burning things up. But at that point, I don't think it's from a lack of lube down below. I think it's a lack of a too lean of a fuel air mixture ratio. Excuse me. Our saws, no matter whatever size they are, they can only take in so much volume and put out so much volume, right? So the amount of air that goes in and out every time that saw makes a revolution, it doesn't change. We're only changing the amount of fuel or mixture that goes into it, right? So if we don't have enough fuel, it runs lean, it runs hot, it runs fast, and we burn them up, right? If we back our needle out, no matter whatever mixture we're running, if we back our needle out and we run them too fat, they're going to load up. You know, we'll just choke them off with a too rich condition. We get no power. You know, 4-stroking at an idle, basically. So I think that as long as you tune your saw, whatever mix you're running, whatever you're comfortable with running, that's what you do. And everybody's going to have their own opinion on that. Manufacturers are going to tell you what they have to tell you. That's what I truly believe. They're going to tell you have to run a 40-to-1 or you have to run a 50-to-1. And I don't necessarily agree with that. And people may say that I'm dead wrong, and that's fine. I'm okay with that. I'm going to do what I normally do because it's worked well for me. I've never had any issues, and somebody else might say, well, I've never had any issues, and that's fine. Do what you want to do. But for the people that were wondering why I do what I do, those are my theories behind it. Like I said, I could be dead wrong. Maybe it'll bite me one day. I don't know, but I've been doing this for a while, and I haven't had any issues. I mean, I've run saws my whole life. Always on the farm. I did land clearing, all kinds of stuff like that. So I'm not a stranger to running a chainsaw or tuning a chainsaw, you know, or just basic maintenance and keeping them going. And that's what it's all about. I think that there's a lot of people that are very novice when it comes to chainsaws and they don't know, so they're asking, and well, this is what I was told, this is what I need to do, and that's fine. Everybody has to do what's good for them, and I'm completely fine with that, and everybody else should be completely fine with whatever I do. That's the way I look at it. But that's my theory behind fuel mixture, and it works for me. Doesn't mean it works for everybody, but it works for me. So just wanted to put together a little video on fuel mixture, of why I do what I do, and I'm sure the comment section's gonna explode. Some people might delete my channel. It's just what I choose to do, whatever. But I do appreciate all the comments. I think it's great going, hearing all the comments and hearing everybody's take on things, and it's fun anyway. But thanks for watching, guys, and yeah, do what works for you. That's all I can say. I'm no pro, and I can't tell anybody what they're supposed to do, and I'm not gonna do that. I just will tell you what works for me and my experience. But thanks for watching.